Okay, and then I'm going to transition into the elemental wizards, as I don't have enough proficiency in them to talk to myself. I brought in some guests, and the first guest can go ahead and introduce themselves. Who are you, and where can people find you?
Yeah, hello. I'm Yuuto, Yuuto TCG on YouTube. That's where you can find me. Probably on Purple Discord as well.
And did you pick up Oscilio as soon as he came out, or were you on a different hero before that?
Because I played Kano before. Absolutely adored and loved Kano. That was like my favorite thing in TCGs ever. But then they printed Kindle, which I didn't like because it started to be like wildfire only thing. I really love Temple Kano. I like books, and then they banned books, and I didn't want to play Kano anymore. So looking to like play another deck, and I've always loved Wizards for their like instant speed stuff. Like basically when opponent plays their thing, I feel like I always have a response, and I love that feeling. So then I heard the Lightning Wizard is coming, and I think Lightning is hella cool. I love Lightning. Uh, then they showed Oscilio and just looting, which is really cool, the ability, and I was like, okay, I'm locked in. Like whatever this is, I'm gonna play it.
So I got your list pulled up. Last I checked it, there was a couple different cards in here.
I just keep it updated to 100%, like what I would take to if I went to calling or something. This would be the list I would take.
This is being recorded before any the ban announcements. I guess either way, it is before national. So this is being recorded before that, and it's also being recorded before any spoilers for High Seas. Well, yeah, with the current knowledge of the meta, where do you think Cilio fits?
Probably 1.5, I think. Like he's like really good spot. Just been climbing for a better spot all the time.
Yeah, I think most people. I think Oscilio is. It's not quite a soft deck. There's still plenty of wiggle room.
No, yeah, 100%. Like starting to be like a really solid core.
Yeah.
That has shaped from like just finding the good play patterns, where you like just basically oscillate between arcane damage and mini combos, stuff like that, and then just order gameplay and things like it's just you draw some pairs and synergies, and then they click, and you make like a puzzle pieces together like that, and ship that to our opponent.
I don't know about you, but Null Shock is one that I tend to discard fairly often. Wrong take, or is that one that you also tend to discard to hero ability?
That is both. That is both. I think the Null Shock is just one of the best instances in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like there is a lot of times where you don't mind pitching a thing. Like you imagine, like you have like one arcane spell, you have Gun, Flash in Arcel, then like 2 instants left, and you block the spell because you don't have like embodiment or any form of generating AP, and you don't want to use Greaves yet. So then like there's Null Shock, and then you can't like convert the other instant either. So the Null Shock is just your instant and the arcane spell, where you get to bounce the gun and flash back. And because Amp works retroactively, it actually Null Shock reads 2 damage always.
Okay.
If you swing gun and then do the Null Shock, then you do like split 7 damage, which is not like huge value numbers out of 3 cards, but that is like the worst case scenario with Null Shock. But at that point, you'd probably cycle it. But when you start to add like more cards to there, like imagine you have like Blink on that hand. Now it's now you're doing like 5 arcane on the Null Shock. And then it just keeps on exploding. And if you like get to use Tunic counter for that too, then it just gets even like one card better as well.
Yeah, okay, I'm seeing it now.
And that's like one of the reasons I don't think they can print 0 cost Shock. That would be a bit too broken, I think. If it was just, red Majestic, 0 cost, no block, instant Shock.
Yeah, I was going to ask something similar, because I'm like, I was kind of annoyed that the Rune Blades got the 0 cost shocks, where the Wizards are stuck with the 1 cost shocks.
Yeah, but the difference maker is just Volzar, really.
Volzar are such a cool weapon.
And with the Null Shock too, like the shocks, the power part is not with Gun and Flash. The power part is with Blast of Oblivion, because you bounce the thing. Blast of Oblivion essentially draws you the card that you want to draw, and then you get to play it back to discount the Volzar. Or you can cycle it to draw actually a random card if you need that, and then you always just have the Shock Ender. And Shock can also trigger blasts, so
gotcha.
You get like to ramp up the Volzar really fast like this. It's really important that the arcane spell is cyclable. It doesn't require any AP, and also each has instant properties to synergize with everything in your deck.
Yeah, the instant. I think I tend to overlook the instant portion of that one damage because I'm like, oh, cool. I don't need this. I don't have an idea. Then I draw an action point required arcane. I'm like, oh wait, I don't have an action point this turn, so I just discarded my only arcane damage for the turn.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't use it. Like, yeah, sure, if it's like it's cycled fairly often, but most of the cards out of the instance are cycled fairly often. Like in my tournament PQ yesterday, I even cycled Brilliance a couple of times because I just had to.
Cycled Brilliance. That's rough.
Yeah, but it is what it is when you have to find a spell. You have to find a spell.
Looking at the deck, you could already kind of tell, but some people might know exactly if they haven't looked at the deck yet. What does it do differently than the other wizards?
Kano, you play through just Arcane and you put up currently, and then you use a deterministic final combo with the Storm Riders, right?
Yeah.
And then Verdance, you do like a Guardian gameplay where you have a little bit of like trickery with instance on Arcane sometimes, and then you end up the game just true value into Storm Riders, or do like a your turn mini combos or a big combo with like the amp and the rampant card. Oscilio, just as the name suggests, it oscillates between damage types and like a little bit like Vincent, where you have to play a little bit towards setup. It might not be like as much by turn as Vincent does, because you don't need to bank up cards. You do bank up sigils, but sigils also just has to be part of their combo at sometimes. So you just do like a lot of mini combos, you do a lot of value solid turns, and then you have a lot of freedom to decide which like damage types do you go for. Do you go taller arcane? Do you go more attack? That's the power that also lets you like decide on which way you want to tackle your opponents through your like opponent's defense.
Yeah, seeing what
and,
cards they block with.
Like, yeah, and also like the at what steps do you preserve information in what way, and what cards do you use and play towards. And this is play always like towards the setup and having like combo open. You also like play just to a solid value in normal turns, because like Gun Flash is just your Titan's Fist for 4 really. Like you can block.
Yeah.
There's nothing more beautiful than blocking like 6 or 10 or like 9 or 10, and then you swing Gun in the Flash from Arsenal, Sigil of Solace, 3 life. Yeah, okay, that turn cycle was like 18 value.
yeah, you block everything, get your attack for 4, gain 3, and come back with it.
Yeah, also there's a little bit of Glass Cannon if you make mistakes. And
yeah, he's only got 36 health.
Yeah, and not really huge fridge.
But what are your best and worst matchups for the deck? I feel like Reinar would be kind of a rough one because they just prevent you from blocking, essentially.
No, it's a coin flip, sure. I feel quite favored in Reinar, though.
Okay.
You just don't board in any like sinks and stuff that you don't want to get intimidated. You just play back, and usually like you get to block a little bit on the like first attack because they can't like intimidate 4 or intimidate 2, and then you just gotta have the 50-50 what you get. But you generally get like 4 to 5 turns, 3 to 5 turns, depends on their draws, of course. If they got like Bloodrush Bellow and then Savage Beatdown or whatever the card is that intimidates you, plus 3s, and then it is what it is. But the worst matchup is Azala and Prism. Those are Prism is just the bane of like wizards, but it's not as bad as Kano, to be fair. There's game to be had.
Yeah, and so Prism, what do you think is the best matchup for Oscilio then? Like another just aggro, just erase somebody?
Not really. Those are quite flippy. Like if opponent draws well and they present like 4 card 16 every turn, it can be rough. But just the slower decks like Florian.
Okay.
Those are very good because you get the slower they are and the less disruption they have, and they just trying to like tank and fatigue you. It's not gonna work really well against a wizard.
What's your favorite card in this current list here that you're running?
Blast
to
Oblivion.
Yeah, I think it's pretty freaking good.
Say Blast. That card is so sick.
I like the art on it too.
Yeah. It's my favorite card of all time right now in like card games.
I think it was definitely designed for the hero for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
I've had some fun with Blast of Oblivion where I get someone's auras off their own field because I had no sigils. I played a sigil, but I couldn't bounce the one I played. So I'm like, whatever you got going on over there, it's gone.
Yeah, yeah. You mess a lot with your opponent, like Rune Gate, Agility Token. A lot of things can break your opponent's hand if you have the read.
Very versatile card. What do you think is missing from the deck, if anything? Like, would you prefer the deck to lean more on the physical side, more on the arcane, or because I feel like there's a little bit something missing from my side to flush out the deck.
I don't think there's anything missing per se, but I think the deck can use upgrades for sure. Like I'm not saying it's best thing in the format, and, like completely like aura. You don't need anything.
Yeah.
You can use upgrades for sure.
Yeah, it's
I don't
fresh.
have a preference. Yeah, I don't have a preference if it's like arcane or physical. They both rate same numbers. Arcane less so. So I don't really care. I just want the card to do cool things. Like I really love the cards that when you put them on the stack, now they do stuff depending on what instance you play, or like when do you play your instant. So I think that mechanic is like really cool. But well, the Zero was shock. Somebody in purple Discord, I forget the name, but there's been a lot of breeding going on with the Oscilio cards. People want a lot of different cards, and to be fair, design space is like so open. They can do a whole lot of things with Oscilio, which is pretty sick. But like the card that they cooked up was like a sigil that when it like bounces, or well, when it exits the field, it comes back to your hand instead of going to the grave, and like kind of like flips over. Flips over like chi, and then the next one goes to grave. I think that is like really sick design, and it enables so many stupid stuff, like better than Brilliance probably. And then the combos go crazy, but I think that card will be like straight up broken. But it's really cool design for sure. Also, one thing I think would be cool is like if they made Fry, but do Fry with block 3 and it's arcane damage. Like it's just lightning arcane spell that has go again, an arcane, so it can be a starter and ender.
Yeah, I think
and cracks up the Volsar, so that would be broken as well. But like things like that where they can design and like mix and match these things, it's like so sick to stay on lookout for what they got.
Yeah, speaking of custom cards, I had a couple made up. I'll have the Word doc up on the screen, and hopefully editor me put up the images so I don't just have a wall of text on my screen. Hopefully that's functional. But I'll go with over the base ones, and then we have Elemental Wizard and then Lightning. But I think it would be really cool for wizards to have like a one-handed wand. I didn't really know what a good wand would be, so I just made instant tap, since that's like the new go-to thing. Pay 1, deal 1 damage to any target. It's simple. You get the 1 damage when you need it. And you pay 1. I had it originally at you pay 1, deal 2 to any target, but I felt like that was a little too strong for that. Just 1 damage 2 to any target at instant speed.
So that for Oscilio?
No, this is just base wizard at the moment.
Okay. But I was about to say like arcane doesn't do anything if you don't have Volsar really. So
yeah, and well, I paired so I have the wand, and then I have a tome that would be an offhand that the requirement is you have to have a wand. Or not. And then for this one, I just made a tome. It was instant tap, pay 3, draw a card. And you can only activate this if you dealt arcane damage this turn, and also costs 1 less per arcane damage dealt this turn. So if you can deal 3, you can get a card back essentially.
Yeah, I like that. It's really hard to think about the contexts that this card could do. It's very varied, but
yeah, I just paired it with this. So you like, if you instant speed, you dealt 1 with a blue, you could draw a card. Like you cycle a blue essentially.
No, that's fair. I mean that card is obviously strong, drawing cards, even when you get them for free. But the downside is that you have to run Cinderwood, I suppose.
Yeah, arcane teaching would be the tone.
Like, probably like tune your deck more to use these, right? So
yeah, because I have
blues, just arcanes would go again, whatever.
Yeah, and then next one I have here is Concussive Blast. It's just a 1 for 4 damage to any target. If you have dealt arcane damage this turn, it can be played as an instant. So like my thought behind this is like a slightly better snapback, but it has the requirement of you have to have dealt damage first. Because I like snapback.
Yeah, snapback is a really cool card. I love snapback as well. Like Flare, Snapback, and Blue. That's one of my favorite hands in the game.
Yeah.
This one is probably paired well with the Cinderwood, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think these through Oscilio's lens.
Yeah.
And this feels a little worse off. Like what's the card? Eternal Inferno. This feels like a worse Eternal Inferno.
Yeah, I'm trying.
The issue is that you just your walls are the one spell and that's it.
So I was trying to see in Ellis's head, I was like, oh cool, they're going away from instant speed on your opponent's turn if possible, and they are trying to make arcane damage, unless you're a rune blade with 5 go agains, arcane damage limited to small chunks if possible. So I'm like, okay, cool. How do I get instant speed in a creative way that's not Surge?
Yeah, that's fair. It's really just Oscilio that can use Surge.
And then the next one I have is Aether Implosion. So this is me working around the Surge here. So this is like a slightly better Destructive Aether Tide. Because it costs 1, deals 3 damage to target opponent. If this deals damage to an opponent, they banish a card from their arsenal.
That card is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I agree with your sentiment on like needing more like the disruption for sure. I think that's just what good games need is like back and forth disruption, not in every card doing like everything. That would be pretty boring. The issue with arcane disruption also is that the arcane prevention system is could use some rework.
Yeah,
you can get just a lot of these can be very fast, non-interactive, not fun. The one I think.
For some classes they're lacking, like Ninja, they don't have any good prevention other than Spell Fray.
Yeah.
So this would just blow.
Yeah, because if this is like, say a nightmare scenario where this is printed as a rare, now rainbow, now every run this as a rainbow, every opponent has to have AB3, or you kind of just sack the whole card, essentially sack the whole matchup, kind of.
Yeah. So, I didn't take account of rarity when I made these. I was just like, oh, what's a good card that does something I want?
No, sure. Like this should be a Majestic if it will be printed for sure, but
I think a lot of my cards would be, but
fair. That's fair. I mean, look at the Zap Majestics that we've been getting, like Aether Arc. That's not too crazy, but it's still a good Zap. All right.
Moving away from Zaps.
The Destructive as well, they went the extra mile to make it worse CNC. It reads like only a card.
And then the next one, Bell Swindle. It costs 3, deals 5 arcane damage to any target. If this dealt damage to an opponent, they banish a card from hand at random. If it's a non-attack action was banished this way, you may play it this turn as an instant.
I like that one. Maybe not the random thing, that's kind of like feels bad, but banishing card from hand, I think that's a cool mechanic. I like that one.
Yeah, and then I gave it the versatility. It's like, okay, cool, you're playing against Prism, you can snipe an Angel for 3, but if you manage to hit somebody, it's like, okay, cool, you can potentially get some sort of value. The random part, I chose it because if it reads if a non-attack action that's banished this way, they'll just be like, okay, cool, take an attack, but it probably would be more fair as, hey, they get to pick.
Yeah, it also like puts the onus on opponent, like it gets better like depending on matchup, of course. If you shoot this to Kano, then you get the thing always, but if you shoot this into like a Rune Blade, nowadays sort of like, because they need one of both, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
In a like traditional sense. So then like this gives just then like a lose-lose option in a way, which is like I think quite interesting, because then they have to turn again.
Yeah, and I'm going to let Ellis know, if anybody from Ellis is watching this, you have free reign to take not credit, but use of my ideas. I just want the spoiler card. Like I don't have to spoil it. I just want the card. I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then
just grab anything is in the production. Just give the spoiler to Hammond.
Yeah, just give it to me. And I don't think we're ever going to get Tome back, but if we do, that'd be sick. So I made my own Tome. Tome of Aether Fire. Cost 1, draw 2. Can only be played if you dealt arcane damage to your opponent this turn. And it gets go again. It just has go again. Because I want action points. I don't like not having action points as a wizard. So it has the restriction where you have to deal arcane, but you do get 2 cards and go again. So
that design is definitely interesting. Everyone loves to draw cards for sure. I'm thinking Oscilio. Does have to do arcane.
yeah,
Well,
you
why not? Yeah,
you could
rolls
squeeze
are
it in.
like threadless Aether or Aether quickening. Then you do this.
Yeah, you can squeeze in here and there.
You squeeze a little bit more damage. You don't necessarily always have to do the spell as a last thing.
Yeah,
And this would open up like lines where you amp first enough and then do the thing.
yeah, it gives versatility.
Which is like cool. Yeah. And then you get a little bit of damage if you like draw more attacks, which you would like to use for amp, but you didn't have them anyway. So it's like cool to have decisions that no matter what route you take, they are sort of like a similar value, but in a different way. So it shapes your game in a different way. Like if this was for Verdus, this would be probably kind of broken because if you do like Surgeon go again, and the normal deal with Surgeon is that you don't really want to prevent that if you keep your cards in your hand. Just mix up that. Just prevent the next one because you have the hammer one. But now they do this. Well, shit. Then they play like, I don't know, Candlehold into Felling, and I'm like, okay.
yeah, this is still a base wizard card. I just think Tome Aetherwind is good, but I don't know if they'll give it back to us. So I wanted to. So it's like a weird hybrid of Tome Findell. So you draw the 2 for 1, but we still have the action point. You can gain action points with this off Kano, but because you Kano it off the top, get the action point back.
Yeah, and for Kanos would be obviously pretty crazy because it's just dig through your deck super fast.
You're cruising.
Would probably allow stacking again too, because it's when you stack this, it's an E-pot to your stack. Then they also like accelerates your stack by a turn probably when you cast like 2 of these on average per game.
Yeah, it goes really good with the overflows into this. You have the resource.
Also true.
And now we're going to go into the Elemental Wizard. Gotcha. All right. For this one, I thought there was a lot missing since we don't have the card pool of infusions other than ice for wizards. These would be Elemental Wizard cards. The first one I have is Low Voltage. I always have hard times with names, but I thought this one was fun. This is the 0 cost 3 arcane damage to any target. Lightning infused. If it was fused, it gains go again. Similar to the card you spoke about, a 0 for 3 go again for lightning, but this one would be elemental. So you don't get anything out of Volzar, but you do get the action point and arcane.
Yeah, this is like kind of same, but more balanced and better designed. This card a lot. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, nice hybrid.
This card. Yeah, I would play this card.
Because like I would like for me, I haven't played Bowlander before. That was before she allowed like my second armory I ever played, but I didn't get the chance of attack action wizards. So this is me leaning into the arcane damage side of the hero, which is what I feel is missing in quotations from the deck.
Yeah, I see. This does not work like as a starter per se because it's not lightning. You can't turn on like funnel. You can't the Volzar, and it's under rate. But like 0 for 4 arcane spell would be crazy, and like just dealing 3 arcane damage go again is like there's a lot of cases where it's just better than throwing for physical.
Yeah, because you can still get the back and forth, and with the back and forth, I made Thunderclap. This is me embracing that we're gonna have to run attack actions anyways in Oscilio. So 1 costs 4 damage to target opponent. Lightning fuse. If it was fused, you make an embodiment of lightning token.
Nice. That's crazy. I played this. Yeah.
And I'm trying to find a back and forth with some spells as any target versus target opponent. For this one, I chose target opponent, so that way you couldn't just shoot down angels or anything. So you have to send it to them. And then you get the embodiment of lightning. As I feel like we're missing that in Oscilio is more ways to make embodiment of lightnings, as we just have the sigil and 2 sigils. That's about it, right?
Yep, but we do have blast and glyph.
Yeah, so you can mix them together. But I felt this was a good in-between. You get your arcane damage, and potentially, since this doesn't have go again, if you're not comboing off, you get your embodiment for next turn.
Yeah. Like if you add more embodiments to also cards that are upgrades to the deck, it starts to get really crazy really fast, because embodiments is the one thing, and like the action point management, which is like a thing that elevates Oscilio up if you start to give consistency in that sense, like a lot more.
Yeah.
Card like what's his name? Lightning Form.
Yeah.
There's too many issues with it where it just falls off as just a random draft card.
Yeah.
But cards like that would be really cool to have in a better way.
Yeah. I like Lightning Form seems good if you have the action point for it and you can guarantee the hit to return it. But here hopefully we'll just fix that issue with this card and give us it.
Yeah.
And then the last elemental fuse card I have is Arcane Feedback. It's cost 2, deals 5 arcane damage to any target. Then Lightning Fuse. If this was fused, you can return target instant from your grave to your hand. So basically,
it's bad as well, Tidy. What can I say?
Yeah,
I'd play this. Probably sideboard.
Yeah, for
if you get all 3 of these,
and
then you also have Mind Warp and Etchings, that you probably still want to play, and a Commissar, because that's just an instant shot.
Yeah.
So I can't see a future where Commissar is not ever played as a 3-off in the deck.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, same with Mind Warp. Etchings you could probably like replace with something like Arcane Feedback, maybe, because you don't have to surge. Do a big spell and then you fuse it and get a thing back. Like, whoa, okay. Yeah, let me just have a hand that is a blue Arcane Feedback, Gun and a Flash.
Yeah, because
you send Arcane Feedback, fuse it with Gun and a Flash, and then you get the sigil back. Play the sigil, deal relevant amount of damage that that opponent cannot like interact too well with, and there's Arson Gun. So with all these lightning fuses, it's gonna be a thing with that is not a huge restriction for Oscilio, because you do run like 40 to 50 lightning cards, and like the card that you always want to arsenal is like 98% of the time lightning. So
yeah, if LSS made this card, it would be Lightning Fuse Surge, return target instant to your hand. I'm like, okay, whatever, yeah, but I'm trying to avoid surge. Yeah, anything but surge.
You can add to this that if it's used and it deals damage to your opponent.
Oh, okay, yeah, it has to deal damage, yeah. It's probably a little bit more balanced. And then now I move into, I have 5 Lightning Wizard cards, so they can't be played in any future Lightning stuff. I'm going to start off with a Sigil. Mine I made was Sigil of Time. When this leaves the arena, you may play a wizard non-attack action as an instant this turn. And of course, this is an instant as well.
No, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Is this lightning? Oh yeah, it's lightning wizard.
Yeah, lightning wizard.
We don't have any lightning wizard cards, do we? Like lightning wizard tag does not exist, I think.
Yeah. You have the shock, and then you have your Comet Storm or lightning wizard cards.
Oh yeah, those are.
Yeah,
true.
They're just not. We don't look at them that much as the lightning wizard cards because they're just instances. This is me leaning into, hey, I want to play more non-attack actions.
Yeah, I can see that pattern coming here in the first edition. But yeah, I would play this. I would play this.
Yeah, just more sigils are just good. Always good.
Always good having more sigils. They are the instances to just run the deck. It's a night and day difference if you draw, like have sigils cycling in the play versus you just don't draw sigils. At that point, just kind of just forfeit playing Arcane Side, really, but most of the time.
This is a strong card. It's an instant, 0 cost, deal 3 arcane damage to any target, but can only be played on your opponent's turn.
I will touch this card probably. Yeah, but the clause can only play up on the turn. It's a bit too rough. I'm also thinking like if they print all of these, let's just have the space thing an issue. But even if they gave only from this high voltage, it probably would not go to the deck.
And then I had the next card. I have Spark Double, cost 1, deal 3 arcane damage to any target. If the last action you played was a lightning card, I said amp 1 before damage, so I worded it so that way this would basically be a 1 for 4 if your last action was lightning.
I don't think you need the before damage thing. The amp resolves to a card when the arcane event damage triggers. So they just float for your next event. Yeah, it becomes 1 for 4. Maybe like if this was also like if this deals damage, then amp 1. Same with this type Gogan. I don't know. It's a cool design for sure, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's just another Scalding Rain, no?
Like I said, I haven't put a lot of games into Oscilio, so I didn't know what would fit best. This was just me at work. I'm like, all right, there's a lot of design space available.
Yeah, for sure there is. And like, I think one cool design space would be cards in like this way where they do amp, so you can like multi-spell, multi-search.
Oh yeah, that gives you the Spark double theme.
Yeah, like this is sort of like hot take. I get it in the community, but I like Surge because the power of the Surge is that it begs always the question from your opponent to drop cards that they don't want to drop the Surges. So you get like additional value that way, quite a lot actually.
And then I have Eureka, because I love drawing cards. It's a 0-cost instant. If you dealt arcane damage this turn, draw a card. But it might be a little too strong at a 0 cost, but you're only drawing one card.
But it also has like sort of like relevant clause there with the arcane damage. So like the only way to do arcane damage non-Volzar is that it would require to have Gergen, which it doesn't. It would require it to be instant shock, which means, well, opponents are not ABing most of the time like a shock for 1. So then it turns this online, right? It's good, but it's not broken in that sense. But with like Oscilio, because it's a setup combo deck, tries to like draw to good density, like draw into a very compressed density of cards that he just replays to maximum value. And like you always try to bridge that gap. So if you get like tomes and draws even more, now you get to access them a lot faster. It gets very scary.
Yeah, and then even scarier here is Raijin. It's a 0-cost, deal X arcane damage to any target, and X equals the amount of lightning cards you played this turn.
Oh, God. Yeah.
It has its own Volzar, essentially.
For 3 off, like, come on, Raijin for 30.
Hey, you play your 3 lightning cards, you Volzar, so you get this becomes a 0 for 3 for a 0 for 6 on Volzar.
On average combo, this would be, I think it's fine. Good. Better than like Zaps, general. But if you do like a normal combo that usually like a gun, a flash, instance, and a spell, it's around like 5 amp usually where that ends up with. This is like damage, it would be like 2 more damage etchings, but then you don't get sigil back. Or Mind Warp, you don't get your opponent to roll their hand. This is a just better option than those for sure. So I like this card because it also like if you get Giga combo, then you just guaranteed kill your opponent. Like you do somersaulting with blast somersaulting, and now it's like rising for 30, like very fast.
Yeah, this is it's got a very low floor and a very high ceiling potential.
Yep. But yeah, I like this rising card a lot. I actually really like this one.
Yeah, it's a good finisher. That's all I got for you, unless you have some questions for me or last thoughts for anybody trying to play out the deck.
Play Oscilio.